Greetings, my friends. My name is Rico, and today we're going to talk about grieving. In particular, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to help someone who is grieving. This is a grief support workshop, and it's sponsored by Our Lady of Mount Carmel Bereavement Group, a Catholic bereavement group. We'll talk a little bit more about the group. Grieving. You see someone who is crying over the loss of a loved one, and you want to reach out to that person, but what do you say? What's the proper thing to say to that person? Or are there things that maybe you shouldn't say? What do you do? How can you help that person in tears, in great pain? This talk, this workshop is to help you help this person who is in tears. Most of us, through some point of our lives, are going to experience this period of great pain, of grieving for the loss of a loved one. Even our Lord Jesus suffered that. Let me read from Scripture. I'll read a little bit from the Bible on the experience of our Lord Jesus in grieving. It's from the Gospel of John. Now, Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when Jesus heard that Lazarus was ill, and here's an amazing thing, he remained 2 days in the place where he was. He didn't go to where Lazarus was to heal him. Jesus was a great healer, but he didn't. He stayed where he was for 2 days, knowing that Lazarus was going to die during that time. It's almost as if, that's the way I interpret it, he wanted Lazarus to pass away so that he could experience what it's like to grieve for the loss of a loved one. 2 days later, he finally goes to where Lazarus is, and sure enough, Lazarus has died, and Jesus goes to his tomb. And when Mary, the sister of Lazarus, came to where Jesus was, and she saw him, she fell at his feet and said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. You would have healed him." But he didn't. And when Jesus saw Mary weeping, and the Jews who had come with her weeping, everybody was crying, he became perturbed. Jesus became perturbed and deeply troubled. And he said, "Where have they laid him?" And he goes to the tomb. And they said to him, "Sir, come and see." And Jesus wept. He allowed himself to experience the same thing that we experience in grieving. So let's move on. Some points that I want to make before we get started on the meat of this talk. There are many ways to grieve and many reasons why we grieve. You have this nice jacket. It's your favorite jacket. It's your all-time favorite jacket. And one day, you lose it at a party, or maybe it's stolen, and you feel real sad because it really was something you liked a lot and it was your favorite, and you miss it, and you feel sad because this thing is no longer with you, this possession. Well, that's a form of grieving, and it's a sadness that will be with you for a few days, a few weeks, but you do feel sad. You grieve for the loss of your jacket. Or a human. But say somebody that's not very close to you, a second cousin that you only met once in your lifetime. You just know that this is your second cousin. And one day you hear that this person has died. Well, you say, how sad. It's too bad. That's just the way it is. And you do feel a little bit somber, a little bit sad over this person passing away. But that's a way of grieving, yes, but it's not deep. It's not heartfelt. It doesn't have a great impact on you. But it is grieving. It is grieving. On the other hand, someone that you love, someone that is really, really close to you, a spouse, a lifelong partner, a child, a parent, someone that you really, really are close and you love very dearly, dies. Now that's different. That has a deep impact on your being. That is a pain beyond belief. I know, because I personally go through that. I lost my wife. We were married for 45 years, and actually it was a 50-year relationship. And it's been 2 years, but I'm still processing that pain of losing someone that I loved so much and that I was with for so long a time. That's deep, deep sorrow. That's the kind of grieving that we're going to address today in this talk. So there are many ways to grieve, but we're talking about deep, deep loss. Something that will actually impact you. It's a life-changing experience on the person that is grieving. So that's one thing. That's the kind of grief we're dealing with. Faith-centered. As I explained at the beginning, this talk is sponsored by a Catholic group. And I began by reading from the Bible. But all people grieve, no matter what faith, what religious belief they have, and people who have no religious belief, who do not believe in a supreme creator. They all grieve, and we recognize that, and we acknowledge their pain as well. All people of all faiths suffer. So we're going to try to keep the references to religious beliefs to a minimum. I will still refer to it just a little bit, but this isn't about trying to promote some sort of belief system. This is about the human experience of a loss of a loved one. And the final thing is the terms that I'm going to use as we go over this discussion. You, the people watching this video, are the consolers. You want to help us, and we, the ones who have suffered this incredible loss, are the grievers. So we're the grievers, and you are the consolers. So we can get the terms straight as I'm talking about the two different groups and the two different experiences. Your experience and our experience. So let's get started now with the meat of the talk. There's a few things that I want to go over. They're truths. And as I go over them, at first it may seem, well, it's really obvious. But we need to explore these truths in great depth so you can understand the grieving process and what is your role in the grieving process, in helping us through the grieving process. So the first thing we acknowledge is love. I mean, why are you watching this video? Why did you take the time? And it's about an hour. It's about an hour by the time we're finished. Because you care. Because you care. You feel for us and you see our pain. And you want to help. And this caring for us, this desire to help us, and why you're willing to go through this video is based on love. Because you, the consoler, love us, the griever. And we, the grievers, want to acknowledge this. Everything we're going to talk about is based on the love that we have for each other, the consolers and the grievers. And of course, the love we had for the person that died. We start by basing everything on love. On love. The first great truth. And the pain comes from love. So, the next truth, the reality is, and this pain is real. It's real. I say that because for many people, it's a pain of the mind. It's a mental pain. And people tend to have a problem with that because you can't physically see it. Somebody breaks their arm. I break my arm. And you can see the arm broken, all swollen, and you can see it in a cast, and I'm in a sling. And you look at me and you say, oh, that must hurt. You must have been in a lot of pain when you broke that arm. You see it physically on me, and you can relate and you can associate with that pain. Physical pain is easy to grasp and to have empathy for it. But our pain, the grievers, that's mental. It's a different kind of pain. And you look at us and there's this frown on our face, and we look sad. And you may say, oh, gee, that person is sad right now. But all of us experience sadness at one time or another in our lives, and we get over it. So this idea that you're just suffering in the mind and the experience, the human experience of emotions, is hard to get a grasp on, and it's hard to realize that it's painful. But we, the grievers, always refer to our experience as pain. Very, very real, very, very intense. We hurt just as much as the person that broke their arm hurts. So that's one truth. Pain is very real. And the other truth is this, and it will take a long time to get over this pain. It will last a long time. You know, I was referring to the broken bones. Generally speaking, if the break is not extreme, generally speaking, it takes about 6 weeks to recover from a broken bone. So you see somebody in a sling, and then a couple of months later, they're fine. They're fine. There's no longer that pain in the sling. And you say, you got healed from that. But not us. Not us that grieve. It's not weeks. It's not months. It's years and years, decades, that we experience this pain. It's long lasting, far more than any other thing that you can imagine. And we'll talk about that because that creates issues. It will last a long time. The pain is very real. The pain will last a long time. Two truths that we need to understand. You who may not have gone through this experience, we need to portray and share that experience with you. We really hurt, and we hurt for a long time. So let's move on to the next truth. And the next truth is this. How do you react when you see us in this great pain? Well, the human instinct, and it's a very normal and very loving instinct, is you want to fix us. You want to do something to help us. I mean, the little child, she cuts herself. Well, what do? I mean, your first reaction is to heal, to fix that child. And you get the Band-Aid, and you want to put the Band-Aid and just caress the child and give her some kisses and make her feel well. You want to fix the pain of that little child and fix the injury that they have. That's fine for the physical pain. But the experience that we have, and this is kind of something you need to grasp. You can't fix us. So don't feel like you have to fix us. Don't feel responsible. You're not responsible. You didn't cause the pain. And there's nothing you can do to help us. You can't bring back from the dead the loved one that we lost. Because that's probably the only thing that will really heal us. Relax. Take a deep breath. You don't have to fix us. You're not responsible. That's very critical for you to understand, because your instinct, out of your love for us, is to try to make us feel better, to fix us. And there is no medicine, nothing that will heal us from the pain. You don't have to do that. That comes from something else. Healing from the pain that we experience, first of all, is time. Time will eventually help us get past by. For those of us that are faith-based, it's our connection with the Creator. Christians, it's our belief in the Lord Jesus and what He did on the cross. This is the symbol, this is the way in which we search for healing. But again, that's faith-based. Other people have different faiths, and many people do not acknowledge a supreme creator. That's fine. But for us, this is how we receive healing. My main point is this. You don't have to fix me. Get over that natural instinct that I got to do something. I got to do something to make you feel better. So let's move on. We move on. And this is the last truth. And this one is very important for you to understand. Very important for you to understand. Just acknowledge it. You know it. But sometimes it's inside of you and you actually don't want to acknowledge this. We're in pain. But so are you. So are you. It hurts to see us hurt so much. And there is a sense of awkwardness when you see us crying. There's a sense of, but there's also a sense of we are in our sorrow, creating sorrow upon you. Within our sorrow, we take away your joy. You know, you were having a fun time, enjoying life as you should. And I walk into the room and I start crying and I ruin the moment. I ruined your joy. You feel uncomfortable with my sorrow, with me expressing the pain that I feel. And that's okay. Acknowledge it, that you do feel uncomfortable in our presence as we grieve. That it is awkward. And it does rob you of your pain. And the other thing, remember I said, long lasting. There is a sense too of, it's been a year and you're still crying? When are you finally going to get over it? I guess there's a challenge to your patience. I was with you the first few months, that's good. But this is going on and on and on, and you're still crying. You, the consoler, will sometimes lose your patience with us, the griever. Again, that's normal, and acknowledge it, that there will be times when you finally just lose your patience. You're still at it after all this time. Get over it. So, we make you feel uncomfortable, and we challenge your patience with us because it's so long-lasting, this pain. It's normal. It's normal on our part to grieve so long, and it's normal on your part to feel this awkwardness. We took away your fun. And you know what? You love us, but we love you too. And we see it. We see that as we walk into the room, we've just ruined it for everybody. And everybody has lost their joy. And we love you. And we don't want you to go through that experience. We feel bad for you. So what we do, and it's really important for you to understand, what we do, and it's also a very common reaction, is we will put on a face and pretend everything's just wonderful. Are you okay? Oh yeah, I'm okay. Everything's wonderful. I'm over it. I'm over it. And there, there's no problem. But underneath, this is still what we experience. Underneath, we're still hurting. But out of our love for you, and we all talk about that, the people who grieve, is we put on a face for you. Because we don't want to see you suffer that much either. So it's a double experience. We are in our pain, and we cause you some grief as well. There is some, and we acknowledge it. So let's acknowledge that this makes you uncomfortable, and this challenges your patience. Very, very normal. Okay? So what can you do? What is the common reaction when you see somebody crying? And again, we're talking about somebody that has not seen a video like this and has no experience with dealing with somebody that's grieving, has no clue what to do. And again, your first instinct is to try to fix the situation, to fix us. And the most common thing that people do to fix us is they want to say, I'm going to tell that person something. I'm going to go up to him and I give that person words of comfort. The next issue is, but what do I say? What do I say to this person? And with my words, I'm going to fix that person. I'm going to make him smile, and everything will be just fine. What we do is there are a lot of expressions within our culture that have been passed down through the generations. These are the things you should say to somebody that is grieving. And a lot of these phrases, catchphrases, they don't work. They either don't work or they actually make us even feel worse. I'll talk about that in a second. But there are, and I'm going to go over that, some of the things that people say because our culture says these are the things you're supposed to say to somebody that is grieving. And they really, really don't help. And that's what this video is about. So we don't use those expressions, those things. We'll start off with love. You tell us these things because you love us. And again, you're trying to fix us. You're trying to help us. You're trying to comfort us. We understand that. We recognize that. But please understand this. Understand this. In your love, you say things to us. Not only do they not help, they annoy us, they disturb us, they literally, these phrases, make us angry. Angry. And I really need to explain this to you. It's actually normal for us to do this, to react this way. When we are in the process of grieving, I said it's a mental problem. Actually, it's beyond mental. There are things being processed in our brains, chemicals being released. There's all sorts of physiological, biological changes going on physically in our brains. And one of the reactions to the stress that we're going under, loss of a loved one, is to be angry at everything. A fly is out there and it annoys me. Everything bothers me and everything makes me mad. So it is a common reaction for us, the grievers, to react to some of these phrases with anger. With anger. Oh, man, you just said that to me? Wow. But you know what we do? Same thing. Once again, we're mad. This is what we experience. And we say, oh, thank you for saying that to us. Yeah, thank you very much. But this is the reality. Our reaction is actually normal. Think about this. Think about how you, when you say you have a headache, and how you're very irritable because you have a headache. Or you didn't get any sleep last night, and all of a sudden anything gets you, sets you off, gets you angry. We are that way 24/7. It's normal for us. So we do react, even though you don't even know that we react that way, to some of the things that you say to us. This person is saying, oh, everything's fine. And the griever is, oh, please stop. This isn't helping anything. So I'm going to go over some of these things, just so that you understand what it is. I have, it just so happens that I'm doing this talk in December, around the time of Christmas, and I think Santa Claus. So in speaking in Santa Claus terms, I made a list, and there's actually two lists. Here's one list, and here's the other list. So this is what I call the naughty list, the naughty list. Things that it's desirable that you not say. Things that don't really help. So these are the things on the naughty list, and you notice it's a long list. And then here are the things on the nice list, naughty or nice, okay? Notice how short it is. There aren't that many things you can say. There aren't. And we'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to go negative first and go over the naughty list. The phrases that preferably avoid these. And the best way to go over it is that they can be grouped into 3 different groups. So I'll go over the groups and then I'll go over some of those phrases that perhaps you should avoid. The first big group is, are you trying to tell me what to do? If you notice yourself going up to somebody and saying, you should do this, or you shouldn't do this, telling me, the griever, what to do, you have no idea of our experience. And that's okay that you don't have any idea. please don't tell me what to do. And I'll give you some examples. So you should, you shouldn't. Don't cry. You're telling me not to cry. And all I want to do is just cry and cry and cry. And you're asking me to force it and hold it in. Cheer up. How can I cheer up at a moment like this? This is real pain. Keep your chin up. Same thing. You must be strong for your family. This has nothing to do with strength. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for this pain. You should be over this by now. This is that thing about impatience. It's been a year and you're still crying? Well, you should be over this by now. Be brave. You can push through this. You shouldn't feel guilty about what happened, or you shouldn't feel angry about what happened. And here's one. And one of my best friends came up to me and told me this one. My best friend. And this hurts so much. He said, you are hurting your loved one in heaven when they see you crying, when your wife sees you crying. So now, in addition to the pain of this loss, now I feel guilty that I'm crying and making my wife in heaven sad. Oh, I don't need that. I don't need to be put on this guilt trip. It's been a year now, Rico. My name is Rico. Well, how come you're still crying? Aren't you over it by now? Well, there's no sense in dwelling in the past. So try to avoid phrases where you tell me what I should or shouldn't do. You don't know, and that's okay. That's okay. Acknowledge the fact that this is an experience that you have no clue. And don't try to fix the situation by telling me what I should do. That's the first group. The second group is where you try to maybe compare what's going on, the grieving process, with something else and say, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as it looks. It's not as bad as it feels. So you're trying to make the situation look better than it is. You're trying to sugarcoat what's going on, the experience. And here, look for the key word, well, at least this. If you catch yourself saying, well, at least whatever, avoid that. And I'll give you some examples. Time will heal. Or, well, you can always have more children. Or think of all the precious moments that you had with your loved one. Here's one. They're out of their pain, so everything's great because they're no longer in pain. That's true. That's true. They're out in the pain, but I acknowledge the pain that I'm in right now. Well, this all happens eventually. Everybody goes through this. It doesn't matter. It hurts. It's better to have loved and lost than never to have lost, than never to have loved at all. Well, it hurts. What can you say? Life goes on. For many of us who grieve, life stops for a while. It takes us a long time to move on. A long time. At least, here we go, at least they lived a long life. It could have been worse if they had died when they were young. At least they didn't suffer, they died quickly. At least it was a quick death. At least they died, but they didn't have any children. They didn't. At least this, at least that. It's not as bad as it looks. It is. It is. Don't sugarcoat it for us. Don't sugarcoat it for us. It is very painful. And the last group is kind of like the I do empathize with you. I do know what you're going through. I understand. So if you catch yourself saying, I know, I understand what's going on. No, you don't. No, you don't. I know how you feel. No, there's no way you can know how I feel. Even I, who grieve, cannot go up to a fellow person that is also grieving and say to that person, I know how you feel because it's the same experience that I have in losing my wife. No, we all experience grieving in a different way. I know how I feel, but even somebody else that has lost a wife of 45 years, I don't know what their experience is. I can't enter into their shoes. I can't say to somebody, I know how you feel. Or you start off with this, well, your pain reminds me of a loss that I had when I went through. That's just not helping. and then to tell me, well, it gets better with time. How do you know? How do you know? These are things perhaps it's best if you avoid them. And I know you say them because in our culture, we tend to say them all the time. And we've been taught by our grandparents and our parents to say these things. But the purpose of this video is to help you avoid these trite statements that just result in our being angry or hurt. Okay? And I know I'm being very negative. I'll get positive in a second, but let's go over that. And you don't even have to say words that hurt us. Your physical reaction, your body language is very critical, and you can use your body language to express your annoyance with how we took away your fun and how, well, you're very impatient with us because we're still grieving for such a long term. I have a little demo that I did with a lady, and I'm going to show you the demo. And during this demo, it's a little video within the video. Look at me and look at what I'm doing with my body. I don't say a single thing, and yet with my body, I say an awful lot. So let me put on the video for you. It's just a couple of minutes, and we'll look and see what happens. Without words, that are still very inappropriate. So we're going to have somebody cry. We're going to do the demo. Demo? We're not sure if it's going to be fake or real. So the person was a real griever that I demoed with. So she sits right here. I sit over here. So she's going to pretend to be crying. Okay, look at me. And how I react to her tears. Okay? She's crying. I roll my eyes. There's a sigh. There's a sigh there. And then I'm, looking at my clock. I'm not looking at her. Not one bit. Yeah. She's taking up my time. And this is the worst thing. This is the worst thing that I do. That is horrific. I'm telling her a lot of things in this demo. And actually, as we did the demo, it hurt her. It actually hurt her a lot to see me doing that to her. Brave person. She did that. I really appreciate what she did. So you don't have to use words to tell me something like, you're still doing this, you're still crying, you're taking up my time. And then this is, I have closed up my world, you're invading my joy, and I don't want you to do that anymore. So I'm shutting you off. I'm never looking at you because it just hurts me and annoys me to see you crying like that. So I never ever made eye contact with her. And then I closed up and didn't allow her to come in or allow myself to go out to her. So there are things that you say that perhaps it's better not said. And there is body language where you say the same things. You're robbing me of my joy. And it's been so long. Why are you still doing this? I'm impatient with how long you are grieving. That's the negative stuff. Enough of the negative stuff. Let's deal with something more positive. Then if that's what you should avoid, what can you do? What can you do? The positive things that you can consider. What you can say, and there's not that much you can say, but what you can do, there's a lot you can do. So, two things in particular, what you can do. Nothing. Nothing. Just stay there. Just stay there and be there present for me. And I'm going to demo it to them. And for some of us, not all of us, you have to be real careful about that, but for some of us, hugs, the touch is so important. And I'm going to go over this if and when you do touch, if and when you do embrace. And I'll share. It's hard to share, but I will. The worst moment of my life, ever, was when Fina's coughing was going down, and I shut my eyes. The world didn't exist, and it didn't matter if it existed or not. I didn't want to live in that world without my wife. I was in such pain at that moment as the coughing was slowly descending. And all of a sudden, as I'm there just crying my eyes out, just go away world, I feel these arms around me, hugging me. And the first thing that came up is Fina. She's embracing me. And I opened my, no, but she's leaving. She's gone. And I looked around, and it was my sister hugging me at the worst time when I really needed the hugs. So for some of us, not all of us, but some of us, the grievers, the hug is one of the most important things you can do. So I'm going to show you a video demo again with that same person. And the video is divided into two parts. The first part is just being present for me. And in the second part, I will hug her. And watch how I do it, and we'll go over the steps of what happened there. So a little demo on what you can do. So this is the positive approach, okay? Little demo, same thing, same situation. She's crying. She's so brave to have done this because she is in great pain. Okay, I'm looking at her and I'm doing nothing but connecting with her, being present. If she cries for hours, I will stay there with her for hours. Okay, there I say that. Nothing. All I am is sitting there present for her as she cries. Now, watch what I do. My hand here. My hand here, and watch how I do it. And now the hug. And she really started crying. And so did I at this moment when we did this demo. This wasn't fake anymore. This was the real thing. It was the real thing. So it lasts as long as she wants to. She's the one that releases me finally. And she's really cried. So let's be patient and wait for this to happen. She was very brave to have done that. And she knew that was going to happen. Okay? That wasn't acting. Okay. So let's go over what happened in that one. Complete eye contact. And I was leaning forward. None of this doing backwards. None of this shutting out. I was leaning forward towards her. And I would have stayed there as long as she cried. If she took a half hour, I would be there a half hour just silent. No words. No words. It doesn't matter. There, she's there. I'm present for her. So that's one thing. Just be present for me. Now, you don't know. Maybe the person wants to be hugged. Maybe not. So I approached her very carefully in steps to see if she wanted to be hugged at that time. Maybe she didn't. Notice the first thing I did is I put my hand gently on her shoulder. At that point, she could have done this. And then I knew, whoa, no. At this point, there is no hug. There is no touch. So as I put my hand, I didn't grab her, but I put my hand on her shoulder. She could have done that, but she didn't. The next step was her hand. Now, I didn't grab her hand like this. Can you see it? Yeah. I didn't grab her hand like this because then I got a hold of her and she can't withdraw her hand. I put my hand under her hand and gently just lay it there. And I didn't even grasp her, I just put it there. If she didn't really want to be held, she could have just slid her hand over her. I'm giving her the opportunity to give me the signals. I'm not ready for a hug. But she didn't give me the signals. And then slowly, she knows that I'm coming at her. She can always just back off. Very slowly came the embrace, and then it was a real embrace. If possible, hug us. But not all of us are ready for a hug. There are some people that say, don't touch me. Don't touch me at this moment. Just leave me alone. Okay, then do the first part. Just sit there and be present for us. It's so important. It's so important. You don't really have to say anything. But if there are things you can say, then I do have a list. So this was the naughty list, and we turn around to the other side. And here is the nice list. And again, there are groups, so I do group them. The first group is acknowledge that there is pain, what you see. What I see, I don't know the pain that you're experiencing, but I see it right there in your tears. So this must really hurt a lot. That's a good thing to say to me. I can never understand how you feel, but I'm here for you. That a dear friend said that to me. He acknowledged that there's no way he can know how it feels like. He's still married to his wife, so he doesn't know what that experience is like. I can never understand that, but here I am. Okay? I'm sorry that you're suffering. I am. I'm your friend. I love you. And it pains me to see you hurting so much. I'm just sorry that you're suffering. My heart goes out to you. Okay? And words cannot describe how sorry I am at your loss. You're in my prayers. If we are people of faith, it doesn't, sometimes you say that, sometimes you don't. But if you know it's a person of faith, then there's a comforting knowing that I'm praying for you and for your healing. You don't have to say that though. Depends on your faith experience again. The second group is to express sympathy or empathy, either way. My deepest sympathies to you and your family. My thoughts and prayers are with you at this time. Or if you don't want to say prayers, my thoughts are with you. I'm sending you my thoughts. I wish you peace and comfort as you grieve. I want you to be at peace. I don't know how to do it, but I want peace for you. And accept my deepest condolences for your loss. That's a common statement. That's okay. That works. What a wonderful person, the loved one that died. They will be deeply missed. Well, yeah, you're acknowledging the truth. We will all miss the person that died. And we will cherish the memories forever. One of the things that people who are grieving want to do, not all, but they want to talk about their loved ones. Listen to us talk about their loved ones. Do nothing, just let us talk. She used to do this. I remember when he used to do that. They were so nice. And all these memories come up. Just let us explore those memories if that's what we're doing. Other people are in a stage of denial and they don't want to talk about their loved ones. But if we do start talking, listen. Just listen as we go over experiences with our loved ones. And the last thing is just to offer to be there for me. So anytime you feel like talking, I'm here. Offer that. I love you and I'm here for you. Remember that you are loved as you go through this experience. And I'm just a phone call away. Anytime you want, call me and I'll be there for you. And realize that when you commit to this, I'm going to be there for you for years. For years, I'm going to be there for you. What happens often is I'll be there for you for the first few weeks. And then after a few months, so-and-so is crying again and calling me. I better not answer that phone call. Please. It's been 6 months and I call you. Pick up the phone. It still hurts. It still hurts. Listen to it. Pick up the phone. All right? It's going to take a long time. Be there for me for a long time. So, in the sayings of the naughty list, there was one in particular, and now you'll see the naughty list later at the end of this thing. They are in a better place. People who work with grief, experts who write books on grieving, they have the naughty list, and they say you should never say that. They are in a better place. I strongly disagree with that. As a man of faith, I strongly disagree with that. Tell me that. It is very comforting to say your loved one is at peace and in the joy of the Lord, the joy of heaven, in a better place. There's nothing wrong with that statement as far as I'm concerned. And it does bring me some consolation. It doesn't fix me, but it does make me feel like, yeah, Fina is up there in heaven rejoicing. It does make me feel better. And for people who are not of faith, you're addressing someone who doesn't believe in a creator. And that's wonderful. I mean, but not wonderful, but I'm just saying they are in pain too. They are also experiencing this loss. But they're not a believer. That's okay. And the one thing you can say is, as you go up to that person, you can say your experience. It is my belief that your loved one is at peace and happy. So you're saying, this is my belief system, and I respect your belief system. But my belief system says this person is in the joy of heaven. That's okay. You can say that and acknowledge that's not necessarily where you're at. But you're expressing still sympathy and empathy with this loss. So I do encourage this. They are in a better place. And they actually put it in the naughty list, but I have issues with that. I think it belongs in the good list, the nice list. So how do we, the people who grieve, how do we cope? Well, we put on masks. How do we cope? I mean, people come up to us and they do all the naughty list statements, and they make us angry. Or they do the cross arms thing, and then they express their impatience and annoyance with us. So how do we cope? Well, we put on that mask, we do. We're tired of this. It takes so much energy, and there is no support. So we hide and pretend everything is wonderful, so that we don't have to deal with this, and we don't have to deal with the things that are being told to us. And we even avoid people or places or situations, a party where everybody's going to be having a good time, and I walk in and I ruin their good time. So I don't go to the party. I don't, because I can't be joyful at the party. So don't be surprised if we avoid joyful situations. This is the time of the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Don't be surprised if we say, I want to stay home. I don't want to go to your Thanksgiving dinner, your Christmas celebration. I know I will ruin it for you. And it is not going to be a good experience for me. So we avoid it. We don't. And what we do is, this is sponsored by a bereavement group. Well, in the bereavement group, we're all in the same boat, as they say. Again, I don't know the experience of the other people that have suffered a loss, but we're all there together, having suffered the loss, and all of us are in the same level of pain, I guess that we can say, and we share experiences. So we see commonality, people that are experiencing what we are experiencing. So we tend to do that. I wish we didn't have to do that. I wish we didn't have to hide. I wish we didn't have to avoid you. I wish we didn't have to just stick to our own. I wish we could be with you. And that's really the purpose of this video, so that you can help us and make us feel comfortable to cry in front of you. Because crying is all we can do. Crying is all we can do. Be patient with us. It's going to take a long time. So let me just repeat sum this up. Don't try to fix this. Don't feel responsible. It's okay. It's okay. You can't fix this. So don't worry about it. Realize how long it's going to take. It's not like other physical injuries. This is a lifelong experience. Many people that I've talked to are saying, I probably will go to my grave with this pain. And really, don't feel like you have to use your words to help us, to console us. Keep your words to a minimum. You don't have to say that much to us. The nice list is a lot shorter than the naughty list. What we want is your presence, be there for us. Your patience. 2 years from now, I'm still crying. Be patient with me. And hugs, the physical touch is very beautiful. Or just sitting next to me, just knowing that you're there by my side. And for us that are our faith, we really do appreciate your prayers. So if you walk in the faith, pray for us, okay? Pray for us. If you're dealing with someone that does not believe in a supreme creator, you're in my thoughts. You're in my thoughts. That's a beautiful thing to say to us. And to really mean it, I do think about you and your suffering. That's very beautiful, very beautiful. So that's it. I'm finished. After this, I'll show you the naughty list and I'll show you the nice list. And you can write it down or take a picture of it. But we'll start we'll end where we started, and that's with love. You've watched this video because you care. You watched this video because you love. And we recognize your love. We recognize your love. Even when you're telling us the quote unquote, the naughty statements. We know you mean well. We know you're trying. We know you love us. And we love you, the consolers. And so I want to say thank you to all of you for trying to help us, for being there for us. Thank you so much. And I want you to know that we do need you. It's not something we can do alone. We need you to help us. So thank you so much for your love. More than anything else, that's what we need from you. Your love. Thank you. So here is the list, going with that Santa Claus theme, the naughty list and the nice list of things you can say and things perhaps you should avoid in saying. And you can look over, I'll leave the list up for a while, but really don't try to memorize these phrases. Just in general, think of the general theme. Are you trying to fix me? Are you trying to tell us what to do in our grievance? Avoid that, please. Are you trying to sugarcoat the situation and make it seem like it's not as bad as it seems? It is. It's a very painful experience. And are you implying that you understand what's going on? You can't. You can't. And acknowledge that. And that's okay. That's normal. Those are the things to avoid. And things you can say, well, acknowledge our pain. Gosh, I see that pain in you. Express sympathy. You have my sympathy. And then if you want to, offer to be there for us always. And realize that that is a long-term commitment. So I'll leave this up for a little while, the phrases and things that you can say. And the list is not exhaustive. There are other things that perhaps you should avoid and other things that you can say that will bring us consolation and comfort. But in general, just keep those themes in mind. And once again, thank you for having seen this video and your concern and your care and your love for us.